me, I'ma get him out of way. I said I'ma do it, I'ma go and get it back.
We are only 6 days away from the NBA trade deadline, and I feel like a lot of things are going to be drastically changing in the NBA. But what is going on, best ones? It's the best one, DBTV here, back with a brand new basketball talk video. If you're not a best one yet and you're an NBA fan, recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. It's the best way you can support this channel, and of course you already know, the grind is real. And the trade deadline is right around the corner, and there are reports out that the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be having trade talks discussing a James Harden deal surrounded around Ben Simmons. Just when things weren't already looking down for the Brooklyn Nets with our 6-game losing streak, now we are going to be losing one of our best players because he wants to go reunite with his old GM Daryl Morey and play with Joel Embiid. It's crazy. As soon as I saw these reports at first, a couple weeks back, I thought that they weren't true. It wasn't going to happen until I heard it from James Harden himself. And now, especially with both teams actually being in trade talks, we can definitely say that James Harden is going to probably be wearing a Philadelphia 76ers jersey for a pretty long time in his career, probably. And we can say that Ben Simmons will be a Brooklyn Net because there is no freaking way that the 76ers can keep Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and James Harden. Right now, Philadelphia, they are over the salary cap. So with this happening, with Harden wanting to go to Philly, it's not like James Harden can go to Philadelphia, just sign a deal. He can't. Because we all know Harden is going to want that super max contract. He is going to sign probably a 5 to 6 year extension. And he's going to be getting paid lots of money until he is about probably 37, 38 years old. Which is absolutely crazy. He is trying to secure the bag like Chris Paul did. And he's never really been a free agent before. And will the trade happen, or will it be the off-season? I think that they are going to try to discuss some type of trade, because in order for Philadelphia to pursue James Harden, they have to clear some of their salary that are in their books. And having James Harden's salary off the Brooklyn Nets books gives the Brooklyn Nets quite some opportunities that they can do with this. And this is where I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion, and I think what the Brooklyn Nets should consider and what they should think about going into this massive blockbuster trade. And I think that this is just the best thing for both teams, because we all know Ben Simmons, he does not want to play in Philadelphia, and I actually respect that decision. And James Harden just doesn't like the direction of the Brooklyn Nets. He doesn't like that Kyrie is a part-time player, and he doesn't like the rotations with Steve Nash. And honestly, I can't hate James Harden for wanting to leave the Brooklyn Nets.
With you.
This was a huge opportunity. This is going to be probably the biggest what if in the NBA. And I can't honestly blame James Harden for wanting out, especially when one of your superstars that you are a part of the big three is not playing freaking games because he refuses to get the vaccine. Not saying Kyrie is wrong at all, because everybody has a right if they want to get the vaccine or not, but Kyrie chooses not to, therefore Kyrie cannot play any games in Brooklyn, New York. So unfortunately, Kyrie Irving has to be a part-time player. And so far with the big three, it hasn't really worked out to our expectations. And I feel like when Kyrie is playing, he's playing a lot freaking better than James Harden. But the problem is with Kyrie is we can't have him full-time until New York decides to let him play full freaking time. But some scenarios that I think the Brooklyn Nets, some players on the Philadelphia 76ers that the Brooklyn Nets should probably keep their eye on. We're going to be definitely getting more than just Ben Simmons in return. A couple players I would keep my eyes on. One of them, Seth Curry. I think that the Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks needs to try to find a way to get Seth Curry on the Brooklyn Nets, because one thing that the Brooklyn Nets right now are really lacking is shooting. And I think a lot of that has to do with Joe Harris being out. And I think having a shooter like Seth Curry could be a really good piece for the bench, another weapon for KD. And I think going into a deep playoff, having a player like Seth Curry, who is a very efficient three-point shooter, could really benefit this Brooklyn Nets team because he's very good at the catch and shoot. Also, another player I would definitely keep my eyes on and maybe try to get him in the package as well is Thybulle. Matisse Thybulle. I think that's how I don't even know how to say his name. Thybulle. I think the Brooklyn Nets could really use his defensive abilities, and he's a great 3-and-D guard. He is very good. He's a great role player, and I think Thybulle definitely is not getting used properly in Philadelphia. And I think just having him on the team could definitely make our defense even more scarier going into playoffs. Because you see here, with the Brooklyn Nets, I am actually, at first, when all these rumors about Ben Simmons going to Brooklyn, I was losing my mind. I was actually freaking really scared. Honestly, really freaking scared. But the more I'm thinking about it, as long as Ben Simmons can continue to develop his game and get a freaking jump shot, and that defense can stay at a freaking all defensive first, I think the Brooklyn Nets are looking pretty good. Because we obviously have KD, who is one of the best scorers in NBA history on our team. We have Patty Mills, who is a great offensive threat. We also have Joe Harris, who's a sharpshooter. We have LaMarcus Aldridge, who's a great post-up player that could score points. And Kyrie Irving, obviously, when he can play, he's a part-time player. He is easily a walking freaking bucket. So, what I think, honestly, the team really does need is defense. And I think having Ben Simmons on this Brooklyn Nets team is going to give us defense. KD can actually go to the small forward position. Ben can play the power forward position. And also, Ben is also a great friggin' playmaking facilitator. So that's something I think the Brooklyn Nets can also benefit having Simmons on the roster. But in my opinion, overall, I think guys like Seth Curry and Thybulle could be two really underrated, really good options. Tobias Harris would be also another good option, but his contract is very bad, and there's no way the Brooklyn Nets would be able to attain Harris's contract and Ben Simmons' contract. So what I think is going to happen here, it's going to be a trade probably. It will be James Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers, and probably like maybe James Johnson or Ben Bree or Javon Carter or somebody like that for Ben Simmons, Thybulle, Seth Curry, and maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks. Because it's going to take a lot for Philadelphia to definitely make this happen. Because they know that this is why they're doing this at this trade deadline right now, is because they know that they don't have the money in their books, and the best way for them to clear the books is by doing a trade at the deadline to get some of that salary off their books so that they can definitely pursue James Harden and pair him up with Embiid. But I am one of those Brooklyn Net fans that I cannot hate James Harden. I know when we got him in the trade, I was pissed off. Brooklyn, we did it again. Brooklyn Nets traded for Diva James Harden. We got rid of our assets for James Harden! The man who's had a freaking career handed to him on a silver platter! And and I did not want him on this Brooklyn Nets team. But I've learned to grow, and I've learned to love James Harden, and it's unfortunate that Kyrie being a part-time player and Steve Nash's horrible coaching is the reason why, and not really enjoying living out in Brooklyn is why James Harden wants to move on and go reunite with Morey and go to Philadelphia. I think that him not making it into a big deal is also a good thing because the value of James Harden is still there. And I think that we all know Daryl Morey's going to do whatever he can do to get James Harden. I think Sean Marks knows that. And right now we all just have to wait and see. And hopefully Sean Marks can figure out a deal before the deadline. Because honestly, this is probably the best thing that can happen for Brooklyn. Especially after that Sacramento Kings performance, just saying. But if you guys enjoyed this basketball talk, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not the best one yet and you're an NBA fan, recommend you to hit the subscribe button now. Turn on the post notifications because we're going to try to be doing multiple videos before the deadline. And also, I will be talking about the All-Star game as well, giving you guys my opinion on who is in it. Links down in the description below. Go follow me on my personal social medias. You can follow me all over there. Also, if you're into wrestling, go subscribe over to We Are Wrestling. If you are just into lots of random content like vlogs and Funko, go subscribe over to Best One Network. All the links are down in the description below. But, of course, to all the best ones out there worldwide, hopefully, Brooklyn, we will make this trade happen and we don't get f***ed over. And of course, you already know, we are taking over. Peace.